shadow that would be cast by long eyelashes, long, beautiful eyelashes, all right? So what you're actually seeing when you paint this shadow on there is an imitation of that shadow that would be created if you had long, beautiful lashes, which is why it makes your eyes look so nice, okay? Now, we also have the ability to change the shape of those eyelashes, right? Now, at a long distance, if you follow your own natural eye, it's going to look pretty small at a long distance. So what we try to do is open it up a little bit, okay? And we do that by raising it into here with a little bit of extra shadow. And then we come in from here, from the center of the eye. We bring this out almost straight. Okay, we don't bring it all the way up into the eye. All right. Okay, now for stage, and you want to project this at a great distance, we're also going to have to add highlights in between here. Now, at close-up distances, some of this can look very, very obvious, but believe me, 35 feet away is all you need to give you a very realistic look. So we highlight into here, which opens up the eye quite a bit at a distance. Close just a minute. I'll put a little highlight onto the actual lid itself. You have contacts on?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And we'll put a little bit of a eye line into here. Okay. And then we lightly blend that up. Okay. Then we can take a little shadow, just carefully run it down the side of the nose so that we can add, if you have a highlight, you have to have a shadow. If you have a shadow, you have to have a highlight. You can't get away with it. If you try, you're gonna mess up. It's impossible. It's a law of nature. Okay. We'll come back into here with a little base color. Just along that edge. Take a little of that edge off. Okay. And we'll come into the lips. Right now, most of the time for the lips we enlarge them a little bit. Okay. It's just so that they show up. A big, ripe, robust lip is youthful. Thin lips are kind of associated with crabby people, old people, you know. Not that old people are crabby, but I mean, as you get older, your lips will get thinner, but some people are just naturally thin-lipped from, you know, their disposition, you know. When we design makeups, we very often have to take these things into account, all right? For instance, let's say we have two twin brothers, okay? And they're 20 years old. And one of them goes off and becomes a coal miner, and the other one goes off and becomes a potato farmer, okay? Let's just say, all right? Now, 20 years later, these guys get back together, all right? Are they going to look exactly the same anymore? Of course not. You know, one guy is going to be underground for 20 years, getting coal dust in his lungs, not getting any sunlight, breathing foul air. The other guy is going to have a very strong influence from the sunlight beating on his head and on his neck while he's out there. He's going to have dirt in his fingernails, breathing fresh air. He's going to be robust. They're going to look very, very different after those 20 years, even though they're identical twins, because their environment you know, has overcome that hereditary trait to look the same, all right? Also, you will have age versus apparent age. For instance, look at Joan Collins. You know, Joan Collins wants to be perpetually 30, but she's old enough to be my mother. And then some, you know? But, you know, you're always dealing with that. She doesn't want to look that age. She could, very easily. But, all right, anyway, what we're going to do is go around the outside of the lip. Now, to make the lip look nice and full, we're going to add a little bit of color up here, okay? And the outside of the lip is always going to be darker, right, than the inside of the lip, and that's because you want to give it that depth. You want to carve it with paint, okay? As we say. It'll take a little bit of a, I won't put any trashy colors on your hair, even though I happen to be, well, maybe I will.
Scratch me out.
I'm partial to these reds here, these deep reds. I don't know what it is. I must have had a deprived childhood or something. All right, take a brush and blend that lightly. Yeah, something about lipstick that does it every time. I don't know what it is. Yeah. If you ever go to the Mideast, be careful. That's all I can say. All right, we'll take a brush. In India, they have a very, very interesting type of a red that they use. And, but there it had, you know, all of the different reds have different religious connotations, I think, although I don't understand much about it. But over here, we don't really have to deal with that, except that really, really reds are usually associated with, well, women of, and pinks are usually associated with young girls and teenagers and the 1960s, you know. For more mature women, we use more mature colors, is the way I like to put it. All right. For instance, we use much deeper, more fleshier, earthier brown red colors, all right, which gives you that look and feeling of maturity, as, you know, as opposed to that lusty red, you know, which gets all over everything. Okay, let's take a look here. All right, a couple of finishing touches. Just add a little bit in here for my Picasso stance. Take a little bit of this just to erase that line. Line? Did I say line? I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. To distinguish it from another shape. Let's put it that way. Okay, now once we have this model, we're going to go back and replace a couple of little highlights. Notice I've darkened around the outside of the lips. What I have to do, I have to replace that highlight area there too, right? Everything is a combination of highlights and shadow planes. All right, and by putting a nice crisp highlight there, you can sharpen that also. Bring a lot of life into that face. Take out any untoward texture. Covers over your mustache. You know, by the way, ladies, if you ever do start working with latex or anything like that, you're putting on things, always, even though you don't, you know, you might have those little tiny little hairs over there. If you won't have them anymore. Once you put that latex on there, you'll take them right off. So if you want to keep them there, shave it first. You know, even these little cute little things here, right? They'll come right out, and they hurt when you pull them. Ah, sorry. Right. Now, usually we use a little bit of mascara or what we call mustache helper or whatever you want to call it. You know, most of the time men call it mustache helper, you know. And we call it mascara. Now you can use a brown. This is a midnight. This is actually a black. Where is that brown? I have it here somewhere. Ah, here it is. Okay. And I prefer to let them dry out a little bit because, you know, on mascaras you get those little goobies always on the end, you know. And they get over everything, and you get one little goobie over here, and you try to get it off, and then it spreads all over the face, and you become furious, all right? Okay? So we try to reinforce and comb the brows with a little bit of mascara. All right? Add a little health to them. Thank God for Brooke Shields, you know, I mean, till 10 years ago, women, you know, plucked their eyebrows mercilessly, you know, till they were practically bald-browed, you know. It was very bad. Now, Brooke Shields brought thick eyebrows, you know, back into vogue for women, and that's a real sign of character. Thick eyebrow is a sign of strong character. A weak, little plucked, round eyebrow is a sign of vacillating personality, you know. No one ever wants to be accused of having a vacillating personality, let me tell you. So, we'll add a little bit in there. You can bring it down a little bit here. That little upward twist at the end can give you quite a little devilish look, you know. Which I guess most of you want anyway, right? Now that I think of it. All right, let me get in here again. Most of the time when I deal with women, I have them put their own mascara on, simply because they're used to it and they can do it so quick. Very often on the main stage, you're going to be asked to wear false eyelashes. All right? And those are applied with little bits of surgical adhesive, a deammoniated latex called Duo. Very interesting stuff. Most ammonia smell, you know, most latex smells like a cat box, but this stuff actually is quite perfumed. All right. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little powder on this. We're going to dust it down, and then we're going to go back over with slight different colors to put a little bit more fresh life in.